Good afternoon. I'm delighted to extend hearty welcome to all distinguished guests and dignitaries who are present here. And we are highly obliged to you and look forward to a fruitful panel discussion on a topic of plastic pollution which is bothering all of us. So we shall begin with the program with this awareness, Nukkad Natak by girls from St. Thomas Higher Secondary School, and then we will start our program. Welcome.
इंसान की सोचे हम हर दम प्रदूषण करे कम वसुधैव कुटुंबकम वसुधैव कुटुंबकम वसुधैव कुटुंबकम वसुधैव कुटुंबकम। तो आइए चलते हैं वहाँ जहाँ पड़ा था पाठ वसुधैव कुटुंबकम अपनी स्कूल।
गुड मॉर्निंग स्टूडेंट्स।
गुड मॉर्निंग मैम।
आज हम पढ़ेंगे ग्रीन बिल्डिंग्स के बारे में। तो चलिए चलिए खोलिए अध्याय 3 पृष्ठ 6। कौन पढ़ेगा?
हरित भवन मूल्यांकन वे उपकरण या तंत्र है जो भवनों के प्रदर्शन तथा पर्यावरण पर उनके प्रभाव का मूल्यांकन करते हैं। भारत में मुख्य 3 मूल्यांकन प्रणालियां हैं जिनमें से एक गृहा है।
यस, गृहा। गृहा stands for Green Rating for Integrated Habitat Assessment. Griha helps us in making green buildings. Students, do you know the advantages of green buildings?
Ma'am.
Anaya?
Green buildings have better ventilation and natural light.
Yes. Vaishnavi?
इनके निर्माण में इको फ्रेंडली बिल्डिंग मटेरियल्स का यूज होता है।
और जो वेस्ट मटेरियल होता है उसे रीयूज या रिसाइकल करने की कोशिश की जाती है।
Yes. So students, I have an assignment for you all.
डिंग 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 डिंग।
अरे, आप लोगों को पता कर आना है कि पुराने जमाने में ग्रीन बिल्डिंग्स के निर्माण में कौन सा मटेरियल यूज होता था। ओके, गुड मॉर्निंग एंड थैंक यू।
तुझे पता है, मैंने कल गूगल किया था और मैंने देखा कि पुराने जमाने में सीमेंट नहीं होता था, तो पुराने जमाने के लोग मिट्टी और बीज को मिक्स करके बड़ी बड़ी इमारतें बना देते थे।
अरे एक बीज एक बीज से कैसे हो सकता है?
अरे एक बीज की कीमत तुम क्या जानो? ग्रीडी मानव जाति।
हमें तो चाहिए बस
और खनिज और जमीन और तेल और शहर।
अरे पेड़ कम,
हाय हाय
पक्षी कम,
हाय हाय
जंगल तो खत्म,
हाय
पानी नहीं,
अब केमिकल्स है बहाती।
लैंड एयर वाटर पोल्यूशन, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग एंड क्लाइमेट चेंज।
धरती है अब
जलमराती।
विशाल जानवर,
विराट वृक्ष, एक छोटा सा बीज,
एक मधुमक्खी,
या एक छोटा सा मशरूम,
सभी पर्यावरण में अपना रोल
बखूबी निभाता है।
मशरूम है एक पौष्टिक प्रोटीन युक्त आहार, ग्लोबल वार्मिंग से लड़ने का
बढ़िया हथियार।
ये कार्बन की मात्रा को कम करता है और सॉइल फर्टिलिटी
बढ़ाता है।
फल सब्जियां उगाने के लिए फर्टाइल सॉइल, धूप, पानी ही नहीं, हमें चाहिए एक मधुमक्खी जो निरंतर एक फूल से दूसरे फूल पर उड़ती रहती है और फूलों को पॉलिनेट कर फल फसल उगाती है।
फल फसल से याद आया, घर में तो पार्टी है और अभी तो बहुत काम बाकी है। अरे मैडम देखिए, सेब, चीकू अभी खेत से आया मैडम।
मैडम, न्यूजीलैंड का स्टार फ्रूट, लंदन की चेरी, वॉशिंगटन का एप्पल, सारे इंपोर्टेड फ्रूट्स हैं मैम, ले लो।
Our food comes from all over the world. The greater the distance, more of the food miles being produced by transporting food.
Higher the food miles, more carbon dioxide, more global warming, more climate change.
Local foods are fresh and healthy, good for environment.
अच्छा ओके ठीक है बाबा, अब से मैं लोकल फूड ही खरीदूंगी। Do you know 1 apple a day means in 1 year you have contributed 12 kg greenhouse gases emissions. That is equal to driving a petrol car for 51 kilometers.
ये इंसान नहीं समझदार, चलावे जिप्सी।
प्लास्टिक की थैली।
प्लास्टिक की थैली।
अरे एक प्लास्टिक की थैली कितना प्रदूषण करती है।
विश्वास नहीं होता? आइए देखिए।
मेरे अंदर प्लास्टिक केमिकल्स की खान है। आपके खाने में मिट्टी, पानी, हवा में प्लास्टिक मेरा ही वरदान है। मैं कचरे में मिलकर मिट्टी में समा जाती हूँ और यह सब मैं करती हूँ सालों साल।
झूठ का हो गया पर्दाफाश। ट्रेंडी थैली का वीडियो वायरल हो गया आज। थैली का सच सामने आ जाने के बाद पूरी दुनिया में हड़कंप मच गया है। हर जगह सिंगल यूज प्लास्टिक को फेस आउट करने की मांग हो रही है। कई जागरूक लोग एसओपी प्रोडक्ट्स को छोड़कर इको फ्रेंडली ऑल्टरनेटिव्स अपना रहे हैं।
चलो देखती हूँ दूसरे चैनल पे क्या आ रहा है।
नमस्कार, मैं आपका रिपोर्टर चंपक लाल और मैं आज आप सबको मिलवाऊंगा दुनिया की सबसे फेमस फैमिली से, जिन्होंने शुरुआत की इको फ्रेंडली लाइफस्टाइल की। आइए मिलते हैं। आपकी फैन फॉलोइंग का राज क्या है?
हमारी हम सिखाते हैं दुनिया वालों को कि इको फ्रेंडली लाइफस्टाइल कैसे जिया जाता है। हम खोलते हैं दुनिया की
आंखें।
तो आइए मिलते हैं इनकी प्यारी सी फैमिली से।
ये है मेरा बच्चा रिड्यूस। ये पैदा हुआ था खनोमा गांव नागालैंड में, जो 700 साल पुराना सेल्फ सस्टेनिंग विलेज।
वहाँ झूम कल्टीवेशन किया जाता है। धरती में केमिकल रिड्यूस और फर्टिलिटी पनपती है।
मैं दूसरा बच्चा रिसाइकल। मैं पैदा हुई थी पिपलांत्री गांव राजस्थान में, जहां बेटी के पैदा होने पर एक नया पेड़ उगाया जाता है। ओल्ड ट्रीज को रिसाइकल कर घर का फर्नीचर और सामान बनाया जाता है।
और मैं हूँ इनका तीसरा बच्चा रीयूज। मैं पैदा हुआ था उडनथुराई तमिलनाडु में। वहाँ पर 350 किलोवाट बिजली को रीयूज कर विंड एनर्जी में कन्वर्ट करा जाता है। और मेरा नाम है रिफ्यूज। मैं हूँ बागवाड़ा मध्य प्रदेश से, जहाँ के लोगों ने किया रिफ्यूज खुले में शौच करने को। 7 साल पहले वे बना भारत का पहला ओपन डिफिकेशन फ्री विलेज। Just as the bacteria has the potential to sustain life on earth,
Each child is a building block to reverse the dearth
The thought of will to change
and to consume unperturbed.
Vote on this earth. Stop this alert. Children are the change makers. पर्यावरण के रक्षक नहीं होने देंगे अलर्ट, क्योंकि one family, one future, one earth. वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम, वसुधैव कुटुंबकम।
I think a very good beginning has been made by the kids telling us about the realities of the climate and environment and sustainability. Please. Professor P.S.N. Rao will be actually has held up in a meeting, so he will be coming a bit late. So maybe, and Dr. Anuradha, ma'am. So welcome you all, please. The World Environment Day is being celebrated every year to raise awareness, as we have just seen, about the significance of the healthy environment and lifestyles, and to implement actions to protect the nature. You all agree with me this? And UNEP theme this year is solutions to plastic pollution. So in echoing that theme, in a way India's theme on the World Environment Day is Life Mission. Life Mission means lifestyles for environment. So through this mission, India will put forward and propagate a healthy and sustainable way of living based on its tradition and values of conservation and moderation, which are cultural values, and also try to spread them throughout the world. To look back, the plastic which was first chemically synthesized in way back in 1962, we just heard about Thalys, and it became commercial somewhere in 1960s, almost 100 years later. but there has been an exponential growth since then. Even it could be more than 20 times or over 20 times the plastic is being used because it is being encouraged, and it is a way to facilitate comfortable living, lower carbon footprints. So production of consumption of globally has increased, and the waste is getting accumulated because of the extremely long life of plastic, so up to 500 to 1000 years. So it doesn't decay. And the problems also started coming after the landfills, when it started flowing into marine water, and then there were big collections were seen in the ocean at places where huge rocks of plastics they've been there, and then how it is impacting our life. We have Dr. Saurabh Manuja from GIZ, who is an expert, and he will be giving us more insight on that. So plastic has become, no doubt, has become an integral part of our life in all those years, and it is becoming very clear that solutions to control plastic pollution cannot be assessed in isolation and must be considered in terms of total plastic value chain. We have to look at it. So can I have my presentation? Okay, so I am just giving you a bit introduction of what we are trying to discuss today. I begin with the two quotes first. That is, plastic in many ways contribute positively to society, and there is, however, a darker side of it, and that is the way we produce, the way we use, dispose plastics in polluting ecosystem, creating risk for human and animal health, and destabilizing the climate. So this is said by Executive Director of UNEP, which reflects the concern of today. And changing behavior to moderate consumption is not tokenism. It can reduce global emissions or pollution to a large extent, and it is our own Union Minister has said. So these two quotes are really very important if you look in today's perspective. Now, before I get into the details of the theme of today, let me go back and say a few words about our organization, what we are doing today. The Climate Change Research Institute is not for profit organization working in a mission mode to produce पंकज इधर लाइट नहीं है, उधर रखो या तो इसको कहीं और रखो. Understanding of climate change, networking and developing human resources. This is our mission. We have been conducting workshops for youth in schools, colleges, researchers and society at large on emerging topics of environment and sustainability. And India International Center has been our partner for more than a decade now, and we are extremely thankful for it. In 2018, India was the host country for UNEP, World Environment Day, and the theme was Bleach Plastic Pollution in 2018. And the CCRI Awareness and Capacity Building Workshop held on June 8, 2018 led to a policy paper, Strategy for Controlling Plastic Pollutions in India. Dr. Neha, who worked also extensively, is with us today, fortunately, though she is in US these days. So, use of plastic, which has been encouraged in all walks of life, we know that. And CO2 footprints, it was told that CO2 footprints will be considerably reduced if plastic is used in motor vehicles in place of metals, alloys. And so it replaced conventional material which were found below the earth, and it could be, since it was being produced on ground from the either oil industry or from, so it was considered that plastic should be more and more used in our day-to-day, even up to cooking also it was encouraged. And in the Institute for Plastic Technology came up in Chennai in 1968 under the Ministry of Chemicals and Fertilizers to give boost to plastic industry in India. So that was the situation way back. Now in the workshop we discussed the issues which were raised about the marine debris, its health effects. I'm not going to go into detail of that, but I am thankful to very eminent panelists who were there, and the plastic rules in India and the waste management strategies were also discussed. So this policy paper which came out had 5 I's recommendations, and it was prepared and circulated widely with different government ministries, and it was also noted there that this has been done. Implementing plastic regulations, that is first I, both at government and state levels, that's most important. Integrated management of waste through recycling, refuse, reduce or reuse. International agreement for controlling plastic pollution in the oceans. Incineration technique for conversion of plastic to fuel, or now we are talking of plastic to hydrogen, with the advent of hydrogen now. And innovation in technology to produce plastic which can degrade on its own instead of having a long life, and green plastics. So these were the 5 main recommendations of this paper, and it was given a wide, and it was a good response on the social media also. Then we brought out a bulletin on climate SAR. It was talking very straight things that what is plastic, to create, this is a news bulletin on plastic pollution and climate change, and what are the pollution it causes, like gases pollution when it is burning, or when it is on the landfill, then methane gets emitted. So what kind of plastic air pollution, what kind of solid waste generation which require disposal. Then the various initiatives were taken by the people to reduce single-use plastic at that time, like coffee shops in Singapore said that you bring your cup and we will reduce the cost of coffee. Or the hotels in India, also in Tamil Nadu, India and abroad, there were some suggestions to reduce the use of plastics in day-to-day life. And also there was a talk on road construction, uses of plastics in road construction in many cities of India. So this climate SAR was simply a bulletin to create awareness on the plastic pollution and technical solutions, technical uses and solutions. Then subsequently we wrote one article which got published in University News. Actually Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee is not here, but he initiated this, he was invited to write, and so this was published in University News, well received. Even we got the offers that you write about the more about it, write books, and it's very appreciated. And this was talking about the things like how the single-use phase out is proposing from October 2, that is 150th years of Mahatma Gandhi, 2009. Then complete ban became started in July 1, 2022. Then management rules which were there and their amendments from 1990 onwards. Guidelines were specially issued for higher educational institutes by UGC and others as a campaign for reducing use of plastic single use, and also the linkages of plastic policies with drinking water, sanitation, and Swachh Bharat Abhiyan missions. So that was the theme of this paper which came out. We also had one workshop in Kochi on invitation from the director of CMLRI at that time, and it was to discuss the sustainable development goals at that, getting much highlighted on 14, especially 12, 13 and 14, that is life below water. So we discussed various aspects of that, and India is the second largest producer of fish in the world. Coastal and marine biodiversity protection is a key area of focus for India. Then we talked about what blue revolution is taking place, and now we are talking of blue economy. So lots of changes have taken since then. And in CCRI in campaign mode also prepared the brochure and controlling plastic pollution and climate change, and talked about the various possibilities of how to find solutions for climate change, what you and I can do, and lot of things about the SDGs. It was distributed among 200 students who participated, and it was given to them. And the LIFE mission, for example, is also talking about the 75 actions, like we have given a few only here, what you and I can do, 75 actions under 7 categories. And the Government of India has also launched a Meri Life app for people to know day-to-day developments. Now, this is what has changed. Now I'm talking what has happened since then, 5 years since. So now the UNEP report, which has come out in this year, just before one Environment Day, it says that plastic pollution could reduce by 80% by 2040 if countries and companies make deep policy and market shifts using existing technologies. Mark the word existing technologies, not the new technologies, but even the. So what is that? How can we find the solution? Can we find, what we can do really? This is what I'm talking of, what has changed in 5 years. So one thing I must say, the climate change, we always talk as a disaster, heat waves, cyclone, but climate change can be good also. We have just seen, nobody knows that after maybe after a few years we talk of that onset of age is coming, because it is a projection. It is a variability of the weather and the earth interaction, which is a projection. I remember in 1970s, 80s, there was a fear of ice age. And then in 1990, the global warming became very, very important. So we started talking about the concern for the global warming. And now, this May we have seen how the climate change has brought good weather in Delhi at least, and in many parts of the world. And there are also damages of which continue going. So how can we find the solutions? There are 3. ये क्यों आ रहा है? Can we इसको बंद कर सकते हैं? ये नहीं full. Okay. So for any issue, we have three problems. How to solve the problem. So there are 3 key steps. First is scenario building. You project how it is going to be. Same thing is happening for climate change. How it is now, how it is going to be after 10 years, 15 years, 100 years. So plastic waste has grown up to 30 million tons now in seas and 109 million tons in rivers. This is not talking about the land, it is just data which I have seen from the net. Then what are the impacts, for example? What are the challenges before us on how to? What are the challenges? So this is for different cities in South Africa. One can see that how the plastic garbage is creating problems, and then what are the solutions? We always know 5R or 4R, but how to find the solution for zero waste hierarchy, how to achieve the policy actions, how to achieve technology actions for circular economy is the goal. So this is the just solution which require the whole plastic value chain. And the solution for cities and plastic pollution, we have an opportunity, but compelling actions to be taken by not only policy makers, city planners, local authorities, academicians, technologists, industry, business, but all stakeholders across the board. And we are lucky that we have Ms. Bete here, who is consular in Embassy of Norway. She will share the experience about the Norway, how the plastic pollution is. We have Mr. Sen from industry, so he will be talking about the issues and concerns. So we have also policymakers, and we have Ma'am Shamla Mani, and we have Dr. Saurabh Manuja, we have Shri A.K. Jain sir. So they will be talking how the pollution issues can be resolved. We will hear to that solutions. And so the panel discussion we have today is Cities and Plastic Pollution Challenges and Solutions, echoing India's theme for the World Environment Day and its life mission, which is life mission. And topics of discussions are dealing with the circulatory aspects of waste management, and also the scientific solutions to curb plastic pollution, taking plastic pollution and tackling plastic pollution in seas. So lastly, I'll just show you some of our, what is that? It comes, why it comes? Okay, I hope from Springer Nature, actually we had some guests who were to come from Springer Nature, they are maybe on the way. So our some of our publications which have come in the last 2 years, 21 and 22 here are shown. One is Climate Change and Green Chemistry of CO2 Sequestration. They all are published by Springer Nature. Science Diplomacy for South Asian Countries, and one on Solar Energy, Make Simple for a Sustainable Future. So these are different, catering to different strata of society, I would say, because one is for diplomats, basically, one is for the students and professors, and one is on research side on climate change and green chemistry of CO2 sequestration. These three, and we also plan to have one release book written by Shri A.K. Jansar, which will be expected today itself sometime. So let me now come to the conclusion, and we would be happy if they join with us, and we will be releasing. I may add that we have taken great care to make this event environment friendly. We have taken to take it, I mean, we have taken one G20 bag also, compact bag, which is for urban farming, introduction to urban farming, which can be used at homes to get more plantation, because Environment Day, Delhi government has issued lakhs of planning to have lakhs of plants. So plantation is the most effective way, seen as the most cost effective and way to reduce the pollution in the atmosphere. So that is also, and then we have used some of the gift items which are prepared by NGOs, and their earning goes to schools. So we have taken great care in that direction, and thank you very much for your kind attention. We will now have the address by Ms. B.T. keynote address. Our Professor PSN Rao actually could not reach because he is held up in a meeting, but he said he will be joining. So let's hope. So.
Dear Dr. Malit Goel, thank you for the invitation, and dear distinguished panelists and participants, and also the students, thank you for that. It was a very nice start for the workshop, I think. Happy World Environment Day to you all. I think it's important to celebrate this day, and also thank you for inviting me as a keynote speaker. It's an honor to be here among all these doctors and professors. Yes, we all know that plastic pollution is a big challenge all over the world, and millions of metric tons of plastics are produced worldwide every day. And while half of this plastic waste is recycled, incinerated, or discarded into landfills, a significant portion of what remains ends up in our oceans. So I think I'll just also focus a bit on the oceans today. In fact, many pieces of ocean plastics waste have come together to create a vortex of plastic waste, thrice the size of France in the Pacific Ocean between California and Hawaii. I recently read an article in the magazine Visual Capitalist that India is one of the largest contributors of plastic waste. And most of the plastic waste found in the deep blue waters come from poor waste management, litter in parks, beaches, or along the storm drains lining our streets. And bits of plastic waste are carried into our drains, streams, and rivers by wind and rainwater runoff. And these rivers, they turn into plastic superhighways, transporting the plastic to the oceans. And some might think that the countries producing or consuming the most plastic are the ones that pollute the oceans the most. But that's not true. According to a study, countries with a smaller geographical area, longer coastlines, high rainfall, and poor waste management systems are more likely to wash plastics into the sea, For example, China generates 10 times more plastic waste than Malaysia. However, 9% of Malaysia's total plastic waste is estimated to reach the ocean, in comparison to China's 0.6%. So, and also many high-income countries, like Norway, they generate high amounts of plastic waste, but we are either better at processing it or exporting it to other countries. Meanwhile, many of the middle-income and low-income countries that both demand plastics and receive bulk exports have yet to develop the infrastructure needed to process it. And last week, the Intergovernmental Negotiation Committee had the second meeting in Paris, and after a long week with lots of delays and late nights, the delegates set the path for a draft for the next INC meeting 3 in November. As a counselor for climate and environment at the Norwegian Embassy, I have the possibility to travel around in India. I have, for my 1.5 years, both work and private, I have traveled around in India, south, east, west and north. And I have to say, it saddens me that some places are terribly polluted. You see plastic waste all over. But it's really interesting, though, to see how different cities tackles waste management, and in particular plastic pollution. I think that cities have the key role in fighting the challenges and develop solutions regarding plastic pollution in India. And if you ask me, I think there are 2 factors that must be in place to succeed. We need systems and we need commitment. A couple of months ago, I went to Indore. As you know, maybe is India's cleanest city, 6 years in a row. And I was impressed in how they had holistic thinking and a genuine circular economy. The waste management sector employs 75,000 people and involves all levels, from the street swipers to the recyclers, managers and then politicians. And it was not only the technical and digital solutions that impressed me, but also how the citizens had changed their behavior and how proud they were to live in Indore. So Indore had both systems and commitment. Back in Norway, I have worked with waste management and circular economy for more than a decade. Norway is a small country. We have 5.5 million people living here and a pretty well-developed infrastructure. We segregate our waste at home. We segregate in paper, plastic, metal, food waste, hazardous waste, etc. And this system works, but it is dependent on individual dedication. It's a vulnerable system, but most Norwegians do what they are told and segregate at home. But in addition to that, more and more cities, they invest in innovative technology, sorting solutions. I will come back to that. It is not my mission to suggest solutions for India, but I think that good discussions and knowledge sharing is important for taking the necessary steps. Norwegian solutions will not often suit Indian cities, but we can learn from each other, and sometimes we find common ground, and one idea can lead to another idea. We also know that several Norwegian companies invest in waste management in India. Tomra is a great example on how Norwegian technology can be used all over the world. And Tomra has also invested in India. Tomra Recycling has pioneered the use of sensor-based technology for automating the recovery and recycling of valuable resources. Sensor-based sorting technology can increase sorting and recycling of different types of waste. To date, more than 9,000 systems have been installed in 100 countries worldwide, among them India. Tomra has also invented the reverse vending machines. Every supermarket in Norway have these machines where you can put your bottles on your cans into this vending machine and you get the money back. With approximately 82,000 installations in over 60 markets, Tomra captures more than 45 billion empty cans and bottles every year. So we need innovation and we need new thoughts. And we also have to realize that one size does not fit all. So, back to the Norway-India cooperation. We have a long-standing history of cooperation from 1953, and from 2019, the Joint Task Force on Blue Economy was launched, following a proposal by the Prime Ministers of Norway and India in 2018. both prime ministers agreed that blue economy can deliver economic growth, new jobs, improved nutrition, and increased food security if managed sustainably. The Blue Economy Cooperation is therefore among one of the main pillars of our Norwegian-Indian bilateral relationship. And since the task force on blue economy started in 2019, it has catalyzed increased cooperation on marine pollutions, and more to the benefit of both countries. Our cooperation in green and environmentally friendly solutions is an important component of our bilateral relationship. Combating plastic pollution and marine litter is a key priority of both Norway and India. And since 2019, a number of projects have been started under the India-Norway Marine Pollution Initiative. We are supporting improvements of waste management in Gurugram and in Agra. We are cooperating on co-processing of non-recyclable plastic waste in coastal areas. We support the testing and monitoring of chemical and plastic wastes in rivers, and recycling of construction and demolition waste with pilots in Delhi and Goa. And in Mumbai, Norway is supporting the Afros Shah Foundation, working on cleaning up beaches and helping local communities to adopt sustainable practices. And through the project steering committee meetings and other fora, Norway and India have an extensive dialogue on politics and enhancing the circular economy and reducing pollution of rivers and oceans. And Norway considers that digitalization and digital business models are key enablers of the transition to a circular economy. And involvement from private sector is an important part of the Norwegian strategy. By developing new knowledge, technology, and business models, waste can become a valuable resource and even the source of new industries and local employment. I have worked with circular economy for more than a decade, and when I started my position as a director of information in a municipal waste company outside Oslo, I experienced a change in how we talked about waste. From looking at waste as a huge problem to look at it as a resource with possibilities. Possibilities for innovation, for higher income, for sustainability, for a better environment, for more jobs, and for more secondary raw materials. I'm happy to see that you're organizing a workshop that has its focus not only on the challenges, but the solutions. Awareness and capacity building are main factors for less plastic pollution. I wish you all the best for a fruitful workshop. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions for ma'am about Norway? Before we break, we take some pictures after this, before the panel discussion. So we can have some question if there is.
One question which arose in our last discussion, that the plastic is entering into the salt which is collected from the sea. Now, since the marine pollution is too much, have you analyzed in your country what content of the salt? What percentage is plastic in your food?
I didn't hear it quite well, but I will try to answer. I don't know how many persons that ends up in the sea, but also microplastics.
At least the traces of plastic.
Traces of plastics, yes. And also because Norway is a big fishing nation, a lot of discarded fishing equipment and fishing gear is also ending up in the ocean, and that is a big problem that Norway also focus on. But we are a part also of the, not of EU, but the European Union's cooperation with plastic pollution and the Single-Use Plastic Directive that the EU has invented. So we also work at the same, like EPR for plastic and so on. So
Is it becoming a health issue?
is it becoming?
A health issue. Becoming a health issue.
It probably is a health issue, but we haven't seen anything particular yet. But we know that too much microplastics, it is in people, it is in animals, it is in the fish we eat. So I think in the future we will see more of health issues, yes.
small question.
Maybe you can wait for a mic.
Thank you very much. My name is Subhash Verma. I specialize in perception management. When you said that people in Norway do what they are told to do, and that means a lot of discipline and also personal commitment, that is not, maybe it's a cultural difference between India and Norway, but here people do not even do what they are compelled to do.
Yes.
Any comments?
Yes, of course, not all Norwegians do what they are told, but I think there's, it's an awareness that Norwegian people have, or most of the Norwegian people, and they also start, and I think also what you're doing, like educate young people. When I worked for this municipality, we visited all the kindergartens, all the schools, and told the kids how to do it, to sort your food waste in the green bag, and the plastic in the blue bag, and so on. So it's really important to start early, I think. And as I said, we also have these technological solutions that helps us and sort the waste that people not have sorted at home.
Thanks for enriching presentation. My question is, what is this Tobra machine?
The Tomra machine.
Tobra machine, you elaborate.
They have different
Wish
machines,
to know.
but they have this reverse vending machine because we have this EPR on plastic bottles and cans, metal cans. So then you can just put your bottle into this vending machine. We call it reverse vending machine because you get the money back. But they also do a lot of, near infrared technology systems. So in one of these sorting facilities in indoor, they also have installed this Tomra equipment.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Priyanka. So I want to know what are the main health challenges here that you face in Norway comparable to India in regard of plastic accumulation in the patients and the people and the individual?
For the moment, I don't know. That is not my my subject. I don't know not enough about
Okay.
it to tell you about it. Sorry for that.
Okay, thank you.
But I know they are looking into it.
So I thank you, ma'am, for giving us some sharing about the experience. And since some of the children are wanting to go, we have some pictures before they leave because they did a lot of good. And then we have the panel discussion.
Sure.
Is that okay?
That's absolutely all right.
Okay. And Professor G.D. Sharma is here. He has been UGC secretary. So till Professor Rao comes, he will be the chairman for the panel discussion. So, shall we have some pictures with the students and then go to start with the panel discussion? Thank you very much. Sir, Apadi. I think I took off.
Shall I go down?
Good afternoon, all. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the panelists. We got eminent panelists today over here for a discussion on plastic pollution, which is the need of the hour today. Dr. Sharma, Professor Sharma will be chairing the session. Right? And the whole format is like this.
Yeah.
The format would be that every speaker over here in the panel, they're going to speak for around maybe 7 to 10 minutes.
Okay.
And after their speech, then we'll open the floor for discussion. which Chairman will coordinate. And let the questions come from the panel as well as from the floor. And that can be answered. Is that all right?
It's
Okay.
Okay with everyone?
So I'll leave the floor to the Chairman. I think you can start your first presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Sensa and Dr. Goel Maltiji. Let me share with you when there was no plastic. When there was no plastic, we used to carry our bag to collect the material. If it is liquid, then we used to carry the utensil, any utensil, and people used to carry the things. There was no plastic at that moment of time. And then even the supply system of the agencies like milk distribution in a city was not through the plastic but the glass bottles. And these glass bottles used to be there, and then it was put before every house, and they used to collect, they had to recollect the glass bottles, and they would clean it and recycle, and next day it was available to everyone. With it, Delhi milk supply schemes, etc. If some accident takes place, glass bottle will go away. Some people will carry it their home to use it their home. Other people will be replaced. So that there was no plastic at that moment of time. And all of a sudden, in the area of petrochemical, things started. And you find that those who were carrying anything, they found that even liquid, even hard, anything can be carried, and then we can start it. It started with simple, but it became a kind of expanding every day and this thing. I visited Yemen few years back. It is not only city problem. What I found that I was traveling from Sana'a to Taiz, which is a city in the Yemen, and all along way while traveling, I saw fields were littered with the plastics. And I say, we thought it's a problem of city, but it's the problem of every area. And then the field, the plastics were littered everywhere. And the plowing, etc., was seriously affected. In the plastic, we had the stories of plastic thrown away like this. In Taiz, this was also a major problem. Taiz, that is Yemen, one of the city near the hillocks. There used to flood water coming from the hillock, and there were flood structures. And the flood structure, they would put the plastics and flood structure also, so overflowing of water used to take place. So there was one of the important environmental requirement was educating the people to not to throw the plastics in the flood structures, and it was a program. Then I said, why don't you announce it from your mosque and temples, etc. And they did it. And as a result, you find that some kind of influence took place within them. So this plastic, although it was an invention in terms of making life very easy, life very comfortable, nothing carrying, and somebody will give you everything. But then you find that it has caused havoc in the city everywhere, not only in India, but every part of the country. But some of the countries almost escape this thing. You find if you go to Paris, you would find very less littering of the plastic on the road. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. They started working on almost. In fact, the issue of plastic came almost 10 years back in India also, in Delhi also, we started. So it was a consistent effort to say. In Taiz, I suggested we used to have the newspaper every day. We read, and then somebody comes and collects every day. I suggested one of the industrialists there that why don't you get the plastics collected, otherwise it will go to these flood structures it will create, and they initiated the process of collecting from the home and using it. And you'd find in many of the places they reuse it for doing some kind of the things. So reuse still, but still the plastics non-degradable, and it has caused environmental hazard every city, every place, and a major hazard to life and of animal and other industries. That has been a very. So this has been a serious issue. When there was no plastic, There was a method of carrying things. In fact, Jodhpur, like city, they initiated a new concept that no shopwala will give you things in plastics. They used the old clothes of the people. They stitched and make the handbag for that. Even the liquid aside, liquid, other than the liquid, any hard thing would be given to you. Vegetable or any other thing will be given into that. So that sort of so some kind of policy initiative needs to be taken. One is the policy initiative with regard to the manufacturing of plastic itself, which is a larger issue. Then supply of plastic to the distributors, which use in the part of supply chain kind of thing. And third is the individual effort, and which is I consider very important. If I don't carry plastic, one doesn't carry, n number of people don't carry, plastic will vanish. So it has to be a kind of joint effort. Individual, I consider a first and foremost concept of. If you believe in democracy, then you should believe in not using the plastics. If you don't believe in democracy, if you believe in your self-help, then don't use the plastic. If you don't believe in your self-help, then use the plastic. So that initiative has to be taken. Other than technological changes come some micron-basis plastics or that degradable plastics, etc. But when there was no plastics, also there used to be food was served on the leaf made patals, which they call it, and then they were biodegradable. The large scale now in place of they made thermocol plates and etc., which is non plastic in every form, they're biodegradable. So this has to be really reconsidered. That what is the biodegradable item, biodegradable things, and that could be used for that. Health hazards are enormous. I was one day telling one of the person on the petrol pump carried the hot tea in the plastic cup, and I say, you are getting into serious health problem. They won't realize it because it has a slow effect on the health of the people. So those realization was a major problem. In this case, my own submission is that education is first foremost step at home, outside, in the social community, other thing, that no plastics. No smoking, no plastic, that kind of a movement has to be started there. And then create an infrastructure, like as I gave an example of Jodhpur, wherein the old clothes are being used and given freely by the shopkeeper to carry the vegetable or carry any other than the liquid. And for liquid, you have to find out the method of carrying the things because urban and glass has been reused. In fact, if you really ask in this place, when you go to nowadays, they don't keep the plastic bottles; they keep the glass bottles and then water. So there is some of these initiatives have to be taken up there. Other than also developing a kind of a system wherein can we think of a new material, which is a requirement of the time, which becomes the irrespective of liquid or non-liquid and able to biodegradable process. If that invention, that development can take place, that would be great. I recall when some of you must have taken that ice cream in the cone. Everybody was throwing after taking the certain things. Then somebody developed the cone. Cone was basically made of the flour and other thing, so you can eat it up. So create a system of carrying the liquid or some kind, which you can use it for yourself. That's the kind of approach one should be adopting for this person. Now we have great panelists in this group, and we can invite Dr. Khandal is there? Khandal? Yeah. I think can I request you to...
Professor Khandal is not there.
Then Dr. Sen. He is
the moderator.
So Shall we request Saurabh for this? Begin?
You tell us.
Saurabh.
No, Dr. Khandal is not there.
Achha, in place of Dr. Khandal, he is going to speak.
No, he is the moderator.
PCN Rao. Achha, Gautam Sen. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Should I ask?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think I have one small funny question. That once you say it is hazardous, is the hazard that it is littering around and that's the only problem or something else? Because there are so many chemical engineers, scientists are available. Can this material not be converted into some other useful material? Last time during the recall, we discussed this matter. And some of the scientists from the lab, they did say that there is no problem and then these materials would be collected and converted into something. What is your comment on that?
Anybody would like to respond to his question other than me?
Yeah,
he would like to. He would like to respond to the question.
Despite the policy, we are not able to, get away with the plastic, and there is no alternative in the market. Still, the plastic bags are available and they are useful that way.
If we can make our presentations, I think some of these questions can be answered.
Anyway, if he
We are all waiting for the time.
if he has raised the question, if you have some answers, then you can. Otherwise, we will try to.
Actually, today, the number of enzymes have been found out that they eat away the plastics and convert into more valuable products, byproducts. So there is no trouble, and this number can increase quite a bit, and they can be designed. And plastic is actually least understood material. Everybody rushed to use it, everybody rushed to make it, and everybody rushed to spread it everywhere, trying to replace any material, whatever it was possible, by plastics, even steel. Now, this kind of rush has really put us in trouble, that these plastics, not understood properly, they are actually being misused. Plastic is a wonderful material because it is intelligent material, and it has lot of capabilities which can be modified, and it can be made as benign as anything else. So this common notion that plastic is something inert and it doesn't, get, converted into other forms, that is no more there. Plastic is a semiconductor. Plastic is a light-sensitive material. Plastic is self-repairing material. So there are a number of things which outweigh the small, amount of inconvenience which we are feeling because we don't know that. If we get into it and look into the nature, nature has already provided number of, fungi which are available, and they just eat away any plastic. They just eat away and convert into some useful product. So that is not a problem. It is only to invest.
Well, I think there are people who are nodding head and those who are saying, no, we don't agree with this. So I think we should listen to both of them. Yeah.
I think I have a request to all. Let's do one thing. As I said before, the format is, let us finish our presentation and then we'll open the question now. Okay? Otherwise, there will be a lot of confusion and we will not be able to stick to time. And let us follow this order. Chairman, if you agree. Then Professor Khandal is not there. Then we can ask Mr. Manuja. Okay, we'll follow this order. I'll speak at the end and then we'll have the floor. Okay. Thank you.
Session chair, moderators, panelists, and extreme guests. Thank you so much for inviting us. And today, since the panel is discussing about awareness and capacity building related to plastics, and we heard very good things, like as from Norwegian Embassy as well, that what is the extent of plastics coming. It is not a question about a city or a country being small or large, but it's about how close they are to the coastal lines. We also had a very good question asking, like, is plastic an issue? Answer, maybe, maybe not. So today I'm going to bring to you something which Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs is working. I'm from GIZ, and as a technical advisor, waste management advisor, I am working with Ministry under a project to develop a network website, or to develop a platform where cities, states, material recovery facilities can basically collect data, provide information to recyclers and industries and cement plants to basically collect materials. It's not only plastics, it is all about all dry waste materials that lead to marine litter. First, I'll talk about the issue. We already had certain things. I'll not go in detail, but just to touch upon it. When we talk about sustainable waste management, if you look at the red highlights, that it incorporates a feedback loop. That means whatever is there, the question and answer has to be there. Somebody saying yes, somebody saying no is a must. You have to be adaptable, and you have to be like very diverse, and you have to make changes appropriately looking at the challenges. And that's what we say, that it's an application of leverage points which affect change, is sustainable waste management. If we look at global challenges due to waste management, there are two key highlights, which has no control on borders: marine litter, and next is global warming. Two things which affect all of us, irrespective of in which country we are. But we in India have like somewhere close to only 2.4% of global land area, but we have close to 1/6 of population. That's where we say we are almost 1/6 of the world, and where we say our contribution matters. We consume close to 13.6 kilograms per capita per year of plastics, although that may be less than global average of 30 kgs per capita per year. But still, being 1/6 of the global population, we generate a lot of plastics. And that is the reason why 2 of the 10 world's most plastic carrying rivers, these rivers carry almost 90% plastic loads. Ganga and Brahmaputra are in India. Globally, we are putting roughly 11 million tons of plastics every year into ocean, and 150 million tons is already existing and floating in oceans. The issue is that plastics don't degrade fast. That's an issue. If it could have degraded fast, it won't have created any challenge. But because of its long span, long life that it takes, it is leading to like being eaten up by fish or by other water animals, or they may get entangled into it and they die. The figures say that almost 1 million seabirds and 1 lakh marine mammals die every year. But if we look at why plastics enter into oceans, the city's waste management is one of the biggest reasons. When we don't manage waste in cities appropriately, they go into drains. From drains, they go into bigger rivers, and from rivers, they travel across to the oceans. There have been reports which said that almost 3/4 come from uncollected waste. And we need to target and help cities to manage waste appropriately if we have to target marine litter. Obviously, global greenhouse gas emissions are another issue, which are mostly due to organic waste. But once you segregate your dry waste, your organic waste is already a resource. If we look at the Indian waste management scenario, I won't go in detail, but if we look at this scenario, the waste management hierarchy very clearly indicates that we should target to reduce, reuse and then recycle. The need is to reduce and reuse and then only go to recycle. And if we can't recycle, we have to recover. There were certain questions which we were finding answer when we were into the project. We started the project. That how much quantity of dry waste from a city is getting recycled, or how much of a dry waste is there in material recovery facilities which cities are operating. How are we tracking the amount of dry waste that gets diverted towards recycling or diverted towards energy recovery, or maybe getting disposed or self-utilized within a city, or maybe it was sent out for road construction. What is it that city is not tackling? For example, you must have heard certain cities handling thermocol, polystyrene. Certain cities which don't. So a possible approach was sought and we started mapping in our city. So we were working in 3 cities, Kochi, Kanpur and Port Blair. We started mapping across, like, where is littering taking place? How is litter entering into marine oceans, marine environment? So we started tracking. You see this map on your right, it's for Kochi, where we were identifying hotspots, and then we started strategizing how waste can be managed more appropriately. And we could, like, our learning said that we have to identify hotspots, problem areas, and we understood that cities had to manage their waste appropriately. But hotspots were identified, that is at most important. Appropriate waste management linkages are also important. So a city will not recycle anything if there is no one to take it. The materials have to be appropriately connected. And for tracking, for monitoring, we need a digital monitoring platform. So a digital platform was sought as an answer to this. Why digital platform? Because it was very easy to replicate. We started developing one platform. It started like we will develop platform for cities, MRFs, states, and then national level. Then we started developing it, and we identified only one platform could had a solution for everyone. If you have IDs and password and different operating dashboards for each. So the power of digitization, power of replicability, uniformity, and transparency was really helpful in developing these. And also, if we look at other researches that say, like McKinsey and Company, they quoted that by digitizing processes, making organizational changes, governments can enhance services, save money, and improve citizens' quality of life. There was also regulatory compliance under solid waste management rules, which said that it's a duty and responsibility of local authorities and villages, as well as gram panchayats, to set up material recovery facilities. But what next? If you have already set up material recovery facilities, are you knowing what is happening over there? So that is where we felt that there is a need to establish a monitoring system. So looking at the solution, so this is the project that we work with, Cities Combating Plastic Entering Marine Environment. We're working in cities to do pilots, at state to build capacities, at national level for the digital monitoring platform. The key objective of the project is also to enhance practices, including digital tools. And we are working closely with MAHUA for applying data at national monitoring, digital monitoring platform to compare states. A baseline study was conducted in 2021. More than 85 consultations took place to identify what is it that recyclers want. How many materials? If we say plastics, how many type of plastics? In which color, condition, packaging do they need it? If you say paper, how many type of paper? Newspaper, duplex, 2-ply cardboard, 5-ply cardboard. In what color, condition, packaging they need it? So we took that study, we did a baseline study. We've identified 52. We started with 52, I must say. Then we started pilot testing it. We did some waste characterization studies as well, and we did some pilots in 6 MRFs. And then we came up with a portal called Sansadhan, a portal which is already there at MAUA's site. You can also check this portal from your mobile. It's https://sansadhan.sbmurban.org, and you can also have it readily on your mobile phones. The portal is basically a connect between material recovery facilities, cities, states and national level, as well as on the other side, whatever is made available for recycling is visible to recyclers. So it's an interface between MRFs and recycling companies. It's an opportunity for cities as well to showcase their performance. A state can compare one city with another city across other states as well to see what is happening, which material is getting recycled over there and not here, and a rigorous monitoring system because it takes data every day. So a MRF is required to feed data every day. Currently, the portal is on pilot stage with 8 cities. We came out ultimately with 68 subcategories of waste. There are 17 broad categories and 68 subcategories. The portal tracks what is available for recycling, what is sent for disposal, what is there for what is available in stock, how much was sent for energy recovery, and how much was sent for road constructions. This is how a dashboard looks like. What is there at an MRF? How much is stock available? How much has been sent out for different streams? If we click on it, we see what is the performance of each material, like plastic, paper, glass. You see on your screen is a dashboard showing performance throughout a year of an MRF. And if we click on this material, we see the sub-material performance. If I have clicked plastics, it will show me all 14 type of plastic subcategories to see what was sent out for recycling, what was available in stock, what is there sent out for energy recovery. And if we want to look at year-round performance of each material, we can just click on the line graphs and see how the performance have been of that particular MRF. So that performance is not only for that particular MRF. If a state is entering, they can see performance of a city as well. So there are different user groups: national level, state level, ULBs, MRFs, as well as companies. Companies who are required to sign up very easily, and states approve their signing in, and they can search for materials, and the portal helps them to connect with MRFs where materials are available that they are looking for. So finally, that's my last slide, that the time is there to change from Stone Age to digital age. Thank you. Thank you.
I think we'll have the next speaker. President Dr. Anuradha Mohammed.
Excuse me. Thank you so much, respected chairperson, moderator, and especially Dr. Malti Goel for inviting me for this workshop, which is very lively, I must say. And at the outset, I'd like to, of course, congratulate the school children, and particularly the school. I think their play and the messaging especially was very, very good and correct. Very often, I also work with many school students, but there's always a kind of a debate on, whether this is right or wrong, and I really found that extremely interesting. I would just like to give my background. I retired as a professor from NIUA, but I also worked with the Center for Environment Education for 25 years. And one of the things that I did during that time was, as an MPhil student at that time, I did life cycle study of plastic waste. And it was funded by the CPCB and the Ministry of Environment. And also, after that, my PhD thesis was on healthcare waste management, which also dealt a lot with plastic waste, and we managed to make a very good model for the common biomedical waste facilities. And my postdoc was on e-waste and also in plastics.
So yes, sir. So going straight into the topic, because I was given, about the cities especially, we have now a fair amount of data, and I have the reference for each of these sentences. I have not put it here, but anybody who wants a scientific reference for any of these, I have it with me. The global plastic production, we know that it's around about 390.7 million tons. But India is about in the range of about 6.4% global share. And 42% of overall plastics all over the world is getting consumed by packaging. And even though, in India it is in the range of 35%, but that is probably also because of the hugeness of the use. And the conventional plastic, we're talking about biodegradable plastics. At present, it's only in the range of about 1%. So this is one of the major issues of plastic pollution is 75% of the total plastic produced in the world is entering our environment. And barely 9% is being recycled. So from 1943 or 45, whatever year that you want to place of the start of the plastic age, we haven't been, even today, we have not been able to, surpass this 9% of recycling in India or abroad or globally, wherever you want. Central Pollution Control Board has said that 3.3 million metric tons per year is the waste generation in India. And especially in cities, or you can say states, because Delhi and Goa, they are fairly small, but they're also cities and states together. So they produce very large quantities per capita. But if you see in India, because of the larger population, it might be, as Saurabh also pointed out, much lesser, more in the range of 2 grams or 10 grams, something like that. So the life cycle study of plastic waste, everybody knows plastics, in fact, is that it comes from petroleum, and it becomes virgin plastic, a product is made, then it is distributed through various channels to the consumers. Then the consumers, generally they have only a way of putting it into the municipal bin or any other collection system. They may have a door-to-door collection system. Sometimes it is source segregated, sometimes it's not. Like Saurabh has pointed out, we have these MRFs. So many also get picked up during that time. But I have been doing quite a lot of projects, even with the UNDP and various other institutions, and also working directly with NGOs. Because we started some of the first door-to-door projects in places like Bangalore. And we found that it very often, 2/3 of the plastic from MRFs is now landing up, without recycling. The reason is that in today, thank you very much. So this is the kind of, when I did my life cycle study of plastic waste in India, this is the kind of, what you can say, the route where we found that how even the waste from, let's say, a shop or from, an industry or from the consumers, how it was actually reaching. These are the places where we actually went. And in a place like Delhi, I had taken my air pollution, in those days we didn't have very sophisticated equipment, but we did have reasonably good. And almost 300 units in about 15 different industrial areas in the Delhi NCR region. And we did the air quality monitoring as well, and also found out what kind of recycling was happening, what is the kind of products. In fact, some of the pellets we took to IITR in Lucknow and had it examined. We also examined the kind of products, and what are the kind of leachates that was coming out of the product and what was the possible health effects. So soon after these particular projects, the 1998 plastic waste management recycling rules were made, especially banning the use of recycled plastic for beverages and also for food packaging. Like you correctly said, that we found that, pesticides containers were being used to make pellets, and the pellets would be used to make carry bags, and the carry bags would carry, say, tea, and then you know the rest. But we were able to, and also we found that polystyrene depolymerizes at 70 degrees, 80 degrees, and we were able to talk to the Indian Railways and also the airports to tell them this, and we showed how styrene was actually being liberated from polystyrene cups, not the foam stabilized ones, but the unstabilized ones. And we did all this in Shri Ram Institute. And all this was given to the CPCB. Based on that, the rules were made. We have now rules 2011, 2016, but unfortunately, the government, I've been in all the waste management rules committees, but it is only willing to go from 20 microns to 50 microns to 75 microns to 120 microns, but they don't want to take any kind of decision on whether to ban it or not ban it. So the plastic waste in India, this is the current. In fact, I have been constantly following. We also find now that even after the recycling, the microplastics are being discharged, as Saurabh mentioned, in our rivers and from the rivers into the oceans. So recycling takes away, and also the recycling has to be done very carefully. Those containers which had petroleum-based content in it, like mobile oil, pesticides, fertilizer, any of those, the hydrocarbon was entering the plastic and becoming a part of the pellet itself. So if you make something like kodam or bucket or anything, you will still, and in the IITR we found that in neutral pH, room temperature, in water, it was leaching out. So the pollution goes, all our cities are just full of garbage, harmful effects of plastics. Polystyrene, as I said, it depolymerizes very fast. Polyvinyl chloride has got mostly additives like chlorinated paraffin wax. It has cadmium and zinc phthalates. It also, can give off vinyl monomers. HCl, it definitely gives. I monitored HCl myself, bubbled it, and took it and analyzed it. Polyurethane, it can even give some cyanide residues, extremely hazardous. So also when I was doing my postdoc, we found that most of the additives, like PBDEs, they are only compounded and they get liberated, and I did personal monitoring in UC Berkeley at, in fact, the US, in California. And we were allowed to put personal monitors. We did the entire ethics committee thing, and we were able to easily measure PBDE, and we took it to our lab and we analyzed it. We had all the 10 monomers available in adequate quantity. So there is bioaccumulation, there is carcinogenesis, mutagenesis, and today there is endocrine disruption. This is one of the very famous UC Berkeley studies. I have the reference for it. And the most important thing that we found was many of these monomers actually act as endocrine disruptors. In the case of PBDE, one of the BDEs actually looks exactly like the thyroid or the thyroxine. And it does, now I think we have proper evidence to say that it can be related to autism. Plastics and climate change, the footprint, because it is coming from petroleum. And even if you say that it's 6%, 8%, 10% only is of the entire petroleum, but this is what you get. You try to see that, in 2000 to 2020, the plastics production doubled. They are predicting that to 2060, it will triple. So, so on one hand, we're talking about climate change, we're talking about GHG emissions, and here we are, a very big component, and we want to ignore it. So plastic pollution life cycle, as you can see, from the extraction to the dumping, it is becoming almost circular into the ocean and into the environment. So the focus now should be on the ingredients, and also you can see, as I said, that 5,300 million tons, which is just being discarded and accumulating. And if indeed, I'm a microbiologist by training, I haven't seen a fungi eating any or getting any anywhere by eating the plastics, except by becoming a mutant. But in case there is a fungi, I welcome it. I haven't seen one. And sure. So what I would say that this is what we need to do: eliminate toxics, not just the BPA, the entire range of bisphenols, PAFSA, vaccine resistance ones, phthalates definitely, brominated flame retardants, PVC, and polyurethane. Scale up the reuse. You said, take your bag, take your bottle, and use reusable material. And of course, we need a just transition for the waste workers. I totally support that. We need to give them better jobs, maybe organic waste management, maybe composting, maybe gardeners, maybe, I don't have a gardener, I'm desperately looking for a gardener, or agriculturists, people who look after plantations. And of course, the polluter accountability has to be there, and there should be no loopholes. No chemical recycling, cement kilns, and all these dodgy plastic credits and greenwash, carbon capture. Sorry, it just will not work. And so the ingredients of, if we want an INC treaty, which is what we have come to the end, that we have to produce a zero draft by November. So look at it carefully and make a zero draft which is workable and not something which has got loopholes in it. And Government of India and all of us, DPCC, CPCB, please implement this. At least, you've made a ban. From July 1st, 2022, I see nothing implemented, nothing whatsoever. Please at least implement this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. In fact, there are opinion, and then you would find that particularly enzyme issues come up, we'll hear different kind of a viewpoint which is also there. Thought process and development takes place when there is a view and there is an other view, and that's why things take place. I think next is is he on the line? Is he online? Is he online?
I'm connecting him.
Okay. You finished in time. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Plastic pollution and can I continue?
Yeah.
Yes. We heard during this workshop about plastic pollution, and we have been hearing about that. Today, I would like to talk about where does this plastic go? Finally, how does it reach the ocean, and what are the issues related to marine environment? I'll highlight upon on the basis of my work, as well as my first paper published in 2003, 20 years ago, on how the plastic has reached Nicobar coast from the ship which is being dropping this plastic along the passage. So this was the challenges we had, and we have been talking about that. At the outset, what happened with transport of plastic, whether you are in hinterland or whatever it may be, the recent UNESCO report talks about 1,800 rivers bringing plastic to the ocean. They are all located close to the major cities. That is what today's discussion is all about. Now, once the plastic reaches the ocean, it gets, because we know that 70% of the earth is covered by ocean. And the ocean, there are activities like surface current, which we all know. There are also upwelling phenomena where this plastic gets circulated, and finally, it could be reaching the seabed. That's what the picture talks about that. At times, the plastic, we know very well, is a positive buoyant material. It may be floating and gets disintegrated in the microplastic and nanoplastics. And like a tiny fibers, they are at the midwater column, and they may not be reaching to the seabed, or they may not be floating to the surface. So this is the biggest challenge we have faced, and we have noticed that this is what is we call it as a plastic footprint, what we leave. Last 60 years before that, we never had this a material called plastic, now we have brought into the ocean. Now, when you talk about the importance of the estimating the plastic, and that's really the pollution, how does it get in? There are papers which talks about different type of plastics and recyclable. All the information is there. Now, you'll be surprised to know that, like this, from the hinterland or from the ship, the waste which has been dropped into that has gone to the deep waters. The plastic, basically, they are all covalent bond material. We know from our school chemistry that covalent bonds are very strong and they will remain. The molecular bonding is so strong that it will remain. We may not be able to see physically by our eyes, but it will remain. Finally, when it reaches the deep ocean, where it is pristine environment, first we are polluting environment, and there is no way that this plastic will get disintegrated. These are all the pictures what you can see, which has gone into the deep ocean. Even the deepest part of the earth is called Mariana Trench. When the diving vessel is gone, they found the plastic over there. Alarming situation in Arctic. I had an opportunity to install India's Arctic Observatory in 2014. By 2016, we got the award from the Honorable President of India in Rashtrapati Bhavan. And when we had visited there, we found microplastics do exist over there. This is a horrifying picture where this pristine environment do get the plastic footprint. Now, there is an advance in marine plastic, and data collection has been going on very well, and we started working towards that. Under the Ministry of Earth Sciences, we had a systematic operation plan where we started collecting these plastic debris in the ocean. There are ways to collect, very cumbersome. It's very expensive to get into the ship and go there. We have identified locations along the ship route or the river and discharges, and we have systematically collected about 2 years of these. Specialized nets were prepared so that even the microplastics can be retained. And also we have collected the oceanographic parameters. How does the plastic get circulated? You know very well, a few years ago, a container load of the plastic toys were dropped into that. Even the former president of US spoke about that. These were brought in the Pacific Gyre, where the surface current, they were accumulating. That could be pictured from the satellite. So these are all the challenges you face when the plastic get into the environment. Here is a picture where we have done a study, and this video is not playing. Along the coast where the plastic is moving, we have done a modeling study. And when it dropped in Chennai coast, it has reached the Pondicherry after a few days. So this is a level. There are coastal current which are very prominent in our waters. We call East India coastal current. They do carry plastic from one location to another location. Now, this sampling is sorry. Yeah, we not only that. Once you collect the sample, we need to go for analysis part. We have brought in a systematic procedure. This has gone to the United Nations activity called IMDOS, that is the Integrated Marine Debris Observation System. So we have got it as a best practice method, and we have shown it to them. Now, these are all different locations, close to the shore, far away, about 1,000 kilometers away from the shore, surface and mid-water column. Seabed samples were collected systematically over 100 locations. And one good thing is that there are no plastics found far away in the Bay of Bengal. But of course, in Arabian Sea, we found a few concentration of that. And also we had different type of plastics, that is PET, nylon, HDP, LDP, and polystyrene and polypropylene. This is from our studies we have done. We are also trying to work on developing FTR technique where in situ sampling could be done in the water column. Presently, that type of tools are not there. Only samples are collected on board the ship or brought back to the shore and collected. Now, we also have done scanning electron microscope to study what sizes of this plastic. That has really given us an importance and the composition of this plastic. Finally, images on the microscopic analysis talk about how these plastics get disintegrated, what are the different sizes. Now, the marine organisms, there are different type of animals. Some of them are called filter feeders. They work on collecting these phytoplankton by their filtering technique. They have a membrane sort of thing which will filter, and that is a feed. Unfortunately, these like microplastics or nanoplastics can be ingested by these animals. Even there was a occasion where we caught a long fish and we cut open it. We found a Coca-Cola bottle cap onto the animal fish body inside. So this is our weird footprint we are leaving into that. We have studied systematically in Arabian Sea, where close to the Lakshadweep Islands, which are all pristine islands, having coral reef, where we do found plastics mainly because of the ship traffic. And also we have found the marine litter. On the current, we have studied oceanographic parameters, how the eddy current in Bay of Bengal is taking these microplastics far away into the shore, how they are accumulated in particular locations. So this is another interesting topic. This will be most challenging picture we saw, that wherein you have the oil pollution, you have the microplastic, in addition to that marine foulant, these are all the fouling organisms attached to the ship, all at the same time. Three different polluting or disturbing conditions, they are all together in Arabian Sea. And this is another recent discussion we had in Chennai in Madras Chamber, where one of the activity they have is to have this type of traps. I'm sure that such things need to be propagated. In Chennai alone produces about 5,200 tons of debris per day, and you can see many of them goes into the landfill. However, during a rainy season, part of them gets into the ocean and that gets accumulated. These traps are able to retain some of them, and I'm sure that I'm also trying to tell these people to continue such activities so that three rivers in Chennai coast we can stop some amount of plastic getting into that. Not only that, we also found medical waste getting into that. That's again another detrimental aspect. With this, what I would like to conclude is that at present government is taking a lot of measures. Various stringent activities are there. Unless the individual change himself or herself, so that this plastic, even though it may be out of your house, but there is a way by which, by rain or any other source or river rain, it can reach the ocean one day or other. Once it gets into the ocean, it will remain forever. These are all some awareness we need to have. There are various activities. And the other side, when you spoke to the plastic manufacturers, they talk about 40% of the GDP comes from the packing material. Even for our own computers and everything, we rely on plastic. So there is need to be focus on identifying alternate material in future. Otherwise, we will continue to use that, even though we have stringent measures. This will be a big menace or big footprint what we will leave it for our future generation. Thank you for the opportunity. If you have any other questions, I will be ready to answer to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for a very elaborate presentation on this subject. And now we have Professor Ahmed to share his thought on the aspects of the new thought, which he said that there is one possibility of using some new material to sustain or destroy the plastic ill effect. Dr. Ahmed.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Can I use it?
It's on. It's on.
Well, unfortunately, I'm an electronic engineer, and people here sitting are from different disciplines. So my ideas may be slightly different from what they have. We have heard a lot about how to manage it, how to stop it, how to regulate it, and how to produce policy papers and things like that. Whether you like it or not, plastics are going to be there. Forget it. Because once it has come, it is not going to be out of the system. It is impossible. Now, when this is the situation, better make a friendly approach to make it usable instead of trying to destroy it. Therefore, you have to look at the basics of how plastics are being made and why they are difficult to manage and why they are difficult to manipulate. Reason, earlier speaker has mentioned, carbon-carbon bondings are few electron volt. They are very strong, so they don't break easily. Whatever you do, they don't break easily. Only the peripheral atoms which are there on the chain, they come out, and that creates havoc for the plastics, because that makes all kinds of problems for human health, marine, anything, whatever you talk of, total complete environmental system. And things are not so easy that we say that so many tons and so many this, so many that. It is completely embedded into the environment and ecosystem, and you cannot get rid of it. It's only you can protect yourself by knowing the details and trying to prevent it, trying to make it, usable and more amicable. That's all. Now, in this effort, see, this PET, very popular, there is a bacteria called Ideonella saccharomyces, all Greek, and 201F6, commonly used types of plastics, they break down. They break down the plastics. So please note it down that this has been published and this is known, and this publication came in Nature Communication in 2009. Now, there are plastic-eating mushrooms. Mushrooms have been found out that they eat plastics. People have made magnetic coils to put it into sea and manage this, debris and pollutants and whatever they are there from plastics, I am not going into the details of that. There are enzymatic recycling also. Plastics can be recycled by making it react with enzyme. I'll tell you very briefly why. Every reaction, even making plastics, needs catalyst. And what catalyst we do? We take mostly noble metals. Unfortunately, we forget that nature has given a whole plethora of enzymes which are very, very efficient catalysts. So if you know which enzyme is possible to use where, well, you have won the game. So you have to look towards nature and find out how these things are being done in nature for millions or trillions of years. And then you can, manage that. There are green tech plastics and plastic roads are being made. It's a way to, circumvent some of the problems. But problems are not there. Problems are not there, And ocean cleanup, big programs have been made. And, there is a company, I remember I had noted down. See, this is, well, forget it. There is a company, they have started, working on the, recycling of plastics and making it useful material out of that. So what I want to say is that plastic is a very, very, very peculiar material. Earlier we used to call it gatapacha, means very cheap and, you use it and throw it. But when it became too much, well, then you have to worry about it. But at the same time, if you look at the structure of the plastics can be molded with so many, plastics can be added with so many materials. Now you can make synthetic plastics which are quite different from what we know by synthetic chemistry so far. You can make bioplastics, you can make hybrids of plastics with biomaterials and biopolymers and, enzymes and many kind of things. So the nature of plastic is completely camouflaged. You can manipulate in that way. So what I want to say is that if you look at the material science and basics of bondings of hydrogen, carbon, nitrogen, and other compounds which are there are heavy metals, even heavy metals they attach. Now heavy metals, the problem is that they get attached with very small force. So therefore they get detached also, and they are dangerous. They create more pollution than plastics. So these are the problems which one has to look at in a multidisciplinary way, in a very systematic manner, and simply saying that dumping plastics or recycling plastics or converting plastics into roads and things like that is going to solve our problem. Well, sorry. In my opinion, I don't think it is the solution. Solution is to modify the material and make it useful where it is needed, and don't use it where it is not needed because of cost. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving his well-researched thought. The question often arises, which enzyme, which is a matter of discovery. which is a matter of using it. Now, today's problems are two types. One is when research and some new material development takes place, perfectly all right. That as I said, the plastic was not there, and plastic may not be there, but plastic may be there for not necessarily, which is causing lot of problem to animal, plant, and human life. That is a later challenge which has come to the society, whether urban or rural area. Challenge is that till that time there are some preventive measures. When the preventive measures is that yes, it may remain. You might find the roads are being built, as you said. Even the what you call dividers are being. Many of the plastic chairs, etc. It will be used. But when it comes to the material which is directly related to human, animal, and plant consumption, you put it plant, it may not biodegrade. So therefore, until that time, one of the preventive action is that you try to avoid such material which is causing life damage to the life of any life. I mean, and if you have discovered the enzyme which are going to be finishing the bad aspect of it, what you say, not everything which is the bad aspect of the plastic, then well, everybody would be happy. That yes, today's challenge in the world today is whether small city, big city, or country, developed country or developing country, this is much more problem developing in a poor country because it is a easy material to use it for everything. So that is what I say, that first is education that avoid such thing, and banning of the production of such material which is directly used for the human consumption, material carrying the material which are for human consumption. And secondly, as he rightly said, that if the technology has developed which would reduce the harmful effect of the plastic, well there. But for other areas, I think plastic has been very useful in many matters. In fact, when they collected as I said in Tayaz, they collected the plastic as the newspaper, paid money to the person who collected, and then they can use when they were constructing the roads, they were used this for that purpose. So that kind of thing, they use it. But presently using plastic for the human, carrying the material which is directly for human or animal or any other kind, it has become a major hazard to the life in the country, not only in any country, in India more particularly, and urban area much more particular, because carrying has become a very easy thing. And that carrying, throwing it, every day you find from every household at least 4 or 5 kg of plastic must be thrown out in a month's time. So that you can look into various problems. I think now it's for you to moderate and conclude it.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, my esteemed panelists over here. I think we had 3 good presentations by Dr. Saurabh Manjula, Dr. Anuradha, Dr. Venkatesan, and Dr. Shyamlal Mani. They actually spoke very well on the and when they're actually working on it. Okay. There's one more person. Okay. So I promise I'll not take much time, and most of this thing would be a kind of a repetition, but I like to summarize mostly. Okay. And I'll try to avoid as much repetition as I can. So basically, today's topic is cities and plastic pollution, and I'm going to focus on 2 things: scientific solution to curb plastic pollution, which has been briefly talked about recently, and I'll talk about mainly marine pollution. Okay. Stephen Hawking said very nicely, artificial intelligence is probably going to destroy human beings. And I would like to add one more thing: artificial intelligence and natural stupidity. And plastic pollution, which we have created, is a part of our natural stupidity, the way we created fossil fuel problem, the climate change problem. So somebody had just recently mentioned, just a very brief on chemistry part of it. Plastics are of 2 types, thermoplastics and thermosettings. Thermoplastics are covalent bonds, and they're 2-dimensional bonding, while thermosetting has got 3-dimensional bonding. As a result of it, when you start heating plastics, it is the thermoplastic which melts, while thermosetting plastics they don't. They're brittle. They break. So it is the thermoplastics which can be reused, remolded. Okay. And I think a lot of people have talked about it, so I'll not go into the details of it. And these are the various types of thermoplastics, and these are the various types of thermostatics. Most of the plastics which you use are thermoplastics. That is good luck for us, which is around 80% of it. 20% are thermostatics. Okay. The whole problem is our exponential increase in plastic production. What was the plastic production in 1950? 2 million tons. Today, how much we produce? 400 plus. That's the problem. And we have single-use plastic production of around 150 million tons. Cumulatively, we have produced, this is all the data over there, we have, the way it's happening in business as usual scenario, we'll have 34 billion tons of plastics. Only 9 to 10% of plastics are recycled, not more than that. 12% are incinerated, and 79% are sent to landfill. 15 million metric tons end up in ocean. And this is what enters today. Over 1 million seabirds have already died from plastics, and plastics contribute around 3.5% of the global greenhouse gas. So making plastics is it has a problem of GHG. Now, if you go by the business as usual, then we are going to have around 3 billion tons by 2050 of carbon footprints. So when you're talking about making it zero, net zero, you have to keep this also in mind. You know, this is very interesting, I think. There are countries which import and export plastics. And most of the advanced countries, they have the capability of recycling, reusing and all that, while at least are able to solve or manage plastics better. But unfortunately, it is the richer countries which have that. They are exporting it to those countries which do not have that capability and that technology, which is why plastic pollution is increasing in the world day by day. China, which was one of the major importers of plastics, now has stopped it, luckily. And the whole thing has now gone to the Southeast Asia, like Vietnam, Indonesia, Philippines. They are the ones which are now taking more of it. So this is what is the waste management globally scenario. And you can see the same thing which I said, that the advanced countries or the OECD countries are the ones which are able to manage plastics far better than the non-OECD countries. And it is the advanced countries which uses more plastic and it transports or exports them to the non-OECD countries. That is where the whole global problem comes up. Now, recycling efforts are certainly not enough. And we are doing only 9%. But I want to say one more thing, that recycling is not the best solution, because each time you recycle it, the quality of plastics come down. That's another problem. So reuse is definitely better, as somebody rightly said before also. Marine pollution is where I would love to focus on. Around 8 million metric tons of plastics enter annually in oceans every year. Ocean-based plastic pollution originates primarily from the fishing industry, nautical activities and aquaculture. Where does plastic get into the ocean? It gets it from the landfill. It gets it from rivers. It gets it from urban and stormwater runoffs. It gets it from sewer. It gets it from littering. And there are 5 major gyres. And this is very interesting. There are 5 major gyres in the world. And the gyres happen because the way the Earth moves around rotates itself. So because the Earth rotates around its axis, you create gyres. And you have 5 gyres. They're the North Pacific gyre, the South Pacific gyre, North Atlantic gyre, the South Atlantic gyre, and the Indian Ocean gyre. So all these plastics, whatever plastics you throw, they land up into these gyres. And what happens is that you have ultraviolet radiations and the weathering. So with the weathering and the ultraviolet radiations, these plastics breaks up and forms what is called microplastics. These microplastics, all these sea animals, they eat it, like fish and other things. And we eat that. So plastics or microplastics, they come into our body. And microplastics, I'll show you some example. This is how the gyre looks like. You see, on one side is Japan and the other side is USA. So that's the kind of rotation that is happening with the plastics every day. Microparticles or microplastics are ubiquitous today and found in seabeds. They go down, they travel down, and they go to seabed. And when they go down, their chances of being, the oceanic, animals, eating them, the chances go up. The small size makes them easy for marine life. Okay, microplastics affect marine ecology. That's important. And nature has its own way of finding solutions. Microbes have been found to eat away some of these microplastics, though the process is slow. The best example of the question that was raised, microbial is used, because I have spent my life in oil industry, microbial is used to eat up oil spillage in the sea. So this is what has happened. You see the albatross, the way it died, it consumed all that. And it felt that it didn't have food. I mean, it didn't have any hunger, but actually it hadn't eaten anything. Now this is where the plastic pollution reduction can happen. The question was, what are the bacteria and what are the fungi and all that? Now if you see this plastic, if you see the first one, these are the bottles which have got wasted. Now these, what are plastics? They're polymers. So these plastics are polymers. Now when these polymers, you have the PETase, which is an enzyme. Now PETase acts on this polymer, breaks it up into monomers, and then you have the emitase, which works on this and breaks it up into smaller particles. Then these can be combined again to form another plastic. So that is why you can have this continuous cycle that can happen. There are wax worms, which lives on beehives. Their saliva breaks down PET. There are fungi, Aspergillus, and then pronunciations are difficult. They are found in soil and plants, which reduces 21% of hard-to-recycle polypropylene. A darkly pigmented species of fungus known as Aspergillus, that was the name that I was looking for, tubignus, whatever the spellings are. This is found in mushroom, and they can eat plastics. So there are. Then the nanomagnetic coils, which was also pointed out earlier, they can also break plastics. But the thing is, 30,000 enzymes and their combinations have been found, which can degrade plastics. Using technology like AI, ML, that is machine language, one can work out the kind of combination of an enzyme which you're going to use to break down a particular plastic. So that is the kind of research that's happening today. Okay, that's how, but still, how do you solve the problem of microplastics in the ocean? I don't think there's too many solutions for that. What can be easy? Reduce our own use of single-use plastics, including plastic bags. Support legislation to curb plastic production. Circular economy, recycle, reuse. The beach and river, beaches are the place where the maximum plastics breaks down. And then we can convert plastic waste into roads. They have been proven successful. Australian company have converted unused plastics into oil, because plastics essentially come from fossil fuel, so it can be reconverted back. Plastic waste can also be converted into useful products like construction material, bricks, furniture, etc., etc. A plastic alternative is bioplastics. So these are some of the things which are easily done, okay, and which we can also help in that. Then there are global agreements which we understood today. I mean, basically, plastic is not a particular country's problem. It's a global problem. And we have this Basel Convention. They earlier used to do only marine waste. Now they have added plastics also, so that they also work out on that. And as Madam said before, UN in 2040 says we can reduce plastic pollution by 80% if we take measures. Some of the measures Dr. Mani had pointed out. There are 13,000 known chemicals associated with plastics, of which 3,200 are of concern. That means plastics gets added, and those are the chemicals that get added to the plastics. Benefits will be in trillions of dollars if we reduce our plastic pollution. Thank you. We have one more speaker, I think. Okay, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Distinguished panelists, Malti ma'am, thank you. We feel deeply honored and very humbled for this opportunity that you've given us to speak today. More humble to be a witness of the extensive hard work, years and years of research, years of hard work that has gone into for a common cause we all are so committed to, for a better environment. So thank you each one of you for that commendable work that each one of you is doing. But we can only take forward this work if our future generation is involved in it. So therein the role of school comes in to play, where if the awareness is not created in our schools and our children are not taught or inspired to take care of the environment, I do not see a future for any one of us. So at the onset, I would like to apologize to each one of you because ma'am, my principal, Dr. Anuradha Amos, really wanted to be here and speak with each one of you, but there was last few minutes things. Probably some other time has been appointed. But she wishes each one of you a very happy Environment Day from St. Thomas's. Each school, around 2001, Delhi government had started setting up eco clubs. So every school it was made almost compulsory for every school to have an eco club. Ours is a 95-year-old association. So we've been having eco club for almost 25 years now. But over the past decade, I should say actually 2 decades, 15 years or so, there's been a lot of emphasis on plastic, be it any kind of, program, but a lot of emphasis have been put on plastics. We have been taught and ingrained that plastic is that huge big monster we all have to get rid of. But thankfully, for the past 5 to 6 years, there has been more awareness created around plastic, what kind of plastic is useful, what is not useful, and henceforth, there's a big mission going on in India, we all are very aware of, phasing out single-use plastic. So our school came together in an initiative to phase out single-use plastic. First thing ma'am suggested, let's use an old bed sheet and make a huge poster which will be put up on the wall for everyone to see and write their thoughts on it. Then we had a workshop for students to make them aware what is waste segregation. Can we do waste segregation at our homes? What kind of waste should be segregated and put in what kind of bins? That was done. And then a lot of plastic waste was collected. We partnered with certain associations like IPCA and other associations that helped us to know that if the plastic is collected, and then they will be able to dispose it off responsibly, because it has to be, eventually it will just land into landfills, which defeats the purpose. So that was done. And now this is the 3rd year of the core members that you're seeing. They were committed in the waste segregation team in class 6. They are now in class 11th. They've just passed class 10th with flying colors. They are our waste management team. They're heading it. So every day, whether they have classes or not, whatever is their pressure, every day in the last period, they will go and supervise every class, whether the plastic has been segregated, the paper has been segregated, and others. We have one very small jute bag for which comes into other category. We'll talk about the other category very soon. So we have our students involved in waste segregation. Then we had other alternatives of plastic. Can we do away with certain single-use plastic items? We thought, let's have a paper recycling unit in our school. Again, this was a very old functioning unit in our school. So we started recycling paper and making items which we can do away with single-use plastic. But very recently we've had a workshop, and in that I do not know if I stand corrected, but since I'm in midst of such esteemed panel, they said that one cloth bag or one paper bag will have more embodied energy than a plastic bag. So it's better to use a sturdy plastic bag which will last for years than to use a paper bag or a cloth bag which might just get. No. So that is something that I would like to learn from. I think this is a proper place to learn from, so we can have this learning later. Biodegradability, that is the issue. Yeah, but then the embodied energy factor comes into part. That okay, so we can discuss that later.
You and I have potential energy. What is wrong with that?
No, I was very proud when Sir mentioned Jodhpur. I am from Jodhpur, sir, and we still have this practice of making thellas. You know, even I can make a thella out of. So this sari is sometime going to be a thella after a few years.
You know, they
okay.
make the thread, they make the all those rope through the waste of the material, and
yes,
they
sir.
use for creating jhula for it, all those
We have done
so
that.
that's the recycling process.
Just one word, what she said, energy embodied energy. It is a fact that it was given a suggestion that if you use plastic bag, you will cut down the wood, you will reduce the wood use and yeah. So if you will use cloth or you paper, lot of forest is consumed, whereas if plastic is used, it can be not be using the forest. So that way it is a fact. It was one of the reasons to promote plastic use.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, even if you don't promote, they are being used. let's face it, because it's comfortable, it's in any manner. So point which I am trying to suggest is that people, those who want to market the plastic, want to manufacture the plastic, they will always use the several, and that may be true also. I don't know. But question is that energy reduction at what level? Energy reduction at the production level, energy reduction at the consumption level, and human and animal consumption kind of loss that takes place long term. That issue is come. So I think education as a teacher or as a person in education, first and foremost thing today, almost all developing country or developed country, because developed countries have managed it to destroy, use it in different manner. You don't find, they have developed the technology, they have so you don't find littering anywhere. Right. Even if you find littering, they will collect and do it. But in the case of developing countries, the cities and etc., littering has become a major issue. The clogging of the drains have become another issue. Eating of the plastic by the animal has become another issue. And people carrying the hot thing in the animal. When you go to cancer department in the Delhi in AIMS, the first and foremost thing people come and teach that don't use the plastic bottles for the use. It has a large impact of it. So there will be always an opinion on certain subject. One is a scientifically based opinion. Other is those who are experiencing it from that point of view, whether the science or no science, but experience and loss which takes place in the society. So you have to take everything in a manner which is more acceptable to you as a society. As he says that enzymes can destroy it or somewhere, then you think about it. If it is not, then don't view that, yes, enzymes, still that time we should keep on consuming. I don't think. The education first role which you are playing is very important role you are playing, telling the students there are certain usable in the sense that plastic roads, plastic chairs, plastic divider, plastic, they have become more usable. You find that everywhere the plastic divider have become usable. Plastic because controlling is that you don't use it, but when even if you put it, the car or any vehicle is not broken, that's perfectly all right. But human material consumption, any consumption which is carried in the plastic bags or plastic in a particular hot material are likely to adversely affect the health of the people, and there you will spend more energy in terms of curing the problem. So I think let's not get into the at the level of production, less energy, more energy. It's at the end of use that becomes a real issue. Thank you very much for really enlightening us on this, the kind of work which you are doing in the
Thank you, sir. We
school.
have just 5 minutes.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir. So then paper was one of the options. We deliberated on other options. So we did some work with glass. And we posted our work, and we were very happy to have with us the president of the Society of Glass Technology, Dr. Arun Varshne, with us. And he had come and he had applauded the work, and he told us more how glass can be recycled again and again and can be used. So we are also exploring glass. One of the ways was we did away with paper. And some of the art projects, we asked children to use old glass or broken glass, cut them into slices. We had a person in the school to do it, and then they painted the diagrams on it. So that is one of the ways to use glass. We also had donation drives for steel bartan so that we can do away with plastic, and certain children, because we support a lot of children who are not privileged as us, so we gave them a lot of steel utensils so that which they could bring to school, because plastic is very cost effective, but the dangers are quite lasting. Then we have cleanup drives whenever our school outing takes place. We always make sure that we have one cleanup drive where we collect our plastic. So these things are just done to ingrain into children that plastic has to be dealt with. The fourth slide over here we partnered with another association called Eco Life, and what they are doing is they're giving us wood pencils. So we are trying to do away with plastic pencils, plastic stationery, which is a lot of wastage in schools. So we are trying to inculcate habits of having green stationery. This picture just came in random. What is that one word which comes to your mind when you look at this picture? This picture is an awarding picture. The photographer won the first award internationally, organized by National Geographic Channel, because it's a very reputed photography competition. We'll come back to this picture again. And this picture, we all are aware of it, Mission Life. So Mission Life was one of the topics as given by Malti ma'am for the discussion today. We all are very, very grateful to our Prime Minister for this vision, Mission Life, because it narrows down the need, lifestyle for environment. So our principal ma'am suggested that let's do the integrated projects which are to be done in the school. It should have an element of environment with connection to the outer world. So this single photo was shown to them, and on this single photo they made graphs, they did studies, comparative studies related to science, social science, all the subjects, maths, etc. But when you look at this picture, like, at least 5, 6, 7 days, it's clear in my mind that what kind of plastic I should use and what kind of plastic I should not use. So that message, we hope earnestly, that had gone with some children. Then this came in the newspaper today. And ma'am said, let's use this. This will be shared with the children. This is an article which says there's no luxury without sustainability. So this article actually celebrates the first carbon neutral building which is made by Mercedes. That's what they claim. It's made in Pune outskirts. So again, when children read such articles, they say that these things are possible. They are happening. We can do it. We have some faith in the democracy. We have some faith with the people who are leading us. This was one of the innovations that we did in our school. This is one movie, The Eagle Huntress. It's a documentary actually. It's about a very small tribe. It's about a tribe in Mongolia, the Ashopan tribe. And in the Ashopan tribe, only the sons are taught to train eagles. So this girl whom you're seeing is the first girl in the world from this tribe to be taught how to train an eagle by her father, because father had only one daughter. So she said, why not? My son will do. If I don't have a son, my daughter will do. So ours is an all-girls school. So our movie played two things, gender equality also. And then we gave them a task to find out that if you stop dumping plastic for a day, how much plastic do you save? How is that plastic affecting the climate of Mongolia, which is where from your country? Try to find it out and try to see how your effort is making a change in that country, a good change or a bad change. So this was one of the projects. We come back to this picture again. Any one word which is coming to our mind now?
Sandstorm.
Oh yeah, sandstorm. For me it's Jodhpur because it is a desert storm in Jodhpur.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is near Jodhpur where the
they're quite frequent still. Hanji. Andhad.
The right word is Andhi. But sand dunes start shifting from one place to another, and you cannot see. So women, these are bangers of oil. They sit like this till the wind is over. That's
absolutely right, sir. And so they huddle up each other.
Yeah,
and
you have to put your head down and put it. Right. Otherwise, your mouth and everything get
filled with sand.
With the sand.
Yeah,
it is a very fine, small particles which fly with the wind, and that covers everything. And therefore, one has to protect oneself with that. That's why you find they put whale, and male put lot of safa and all these things for that purpose. Okay.
Yes, sir. And in the center are the matkis filled with water. The ones which are not filled with water is kept outside the circle so that the water also does not get contaminated. So has beautifully explained it. Any words? One word. Sisterhood. Sisterhood. Very good. Let's look beyond sisterhood. Very good, sir. Thank you so much. It is interconnectedness. And all our efforts today will come to fruition if we are all interconnected. So I would like to conclude in the words of Jane Goodall, what you do makes a difference. You have to decide what kind of difference you want to make. The choice is ours. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. If there are any questions or any suggestions, you are most welcome. It's already 5.
Thank you, sir. I just had a one point, if I may.
CRI book आपका release आएगा वो. Okay, please go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. Basically, May 29th was Menstrual Hygiene Day, and so we discussed about, what is really happening. And so one of the things that we wanted to bring into the entire plastic pollution awareness is that of course in India, we want to increase the uptake of hygiene products. There is no doubt about it. But some of the hygiene products which are nowadays going around is just full of plastics and nothing else. In fact, it is, even the gel inside it is a non-biodegradable form of polymer. So, and it's about 12 billion such pads are being dumped almost every year. So it is one of the things that we also need to keep in mind that, non-biodegradability is one of the aspects in the center of the debate of plastic pollution. And not just, I'm sorry to say, madam, about embedded energy or whatever it is, or any other of those kind of issues. The fact that, none of us will be able to breathe air without microplastics going inside our lungs and probably filling our alveoli and not allowing us to breathe, that might become the issue. And therefore, we should be really careful about how we, project it to the young people especially. Thank you very much.
You are very right. You are very right, in fact. Any other question? Any observation? Yeah, please go ahead. She has made very good observations, and that is a message for the future. And as well as kind of caution we should take it. Let's not be moved by something great is happening. She has pointed out that over a period of time we are increasing the use and causing the damage to the life of the animal and plant and man. Yes, please go ahead.
My question is for Saurabh Anuja. And thank you for a brilliant presentation and telling us about this new initiative called Sansadhan portal. I think it's really like just launched, isn't it? Does it have a tie-up with something like Smart City Mission, or? I mean, this is a little bit off the track, but it's important to link the programs so that they are not standalone.
Thanks for this question. The portal is made for Mahua under Swachh Bharat Mission, and it is linked with Swachh Bharat Mission only. It is their IT team who is controlling it. It was supported by GST, but it was developed with Mahua only.
But what is the impact of this portal collecting and doing? What is the effect in terms of why he has raised this issue? It's all right, but does it directly relate to our problem of solving the solution of the problem?
Yeah.
That is where he became little sensitive. Reason being, it's an important, because nowadays everybody talk digital AI. I think AI would be coming in short while. But how your portal is helping solving this problem of plastic waste in Mahua?
Yeah.
You are in Mahua,
Let me answer this, sir. And it was a very, very, I must say, question at a right point of time, where we were discussing the portal, but a question that arises that what is the need of the portal? Like why we are talking about this digital things? What we saw from two of the presentations were solutions how to manage or how to treat plastic that you have already collected. The issue currently is, if we look at cities like Kanpur, under our study we found that it generated 12% plastic and 5% of domestic hazardous waste, including sanitary waste that madam just pointed out. This high amount of plastic, if you are collecting at your material, if you are collecting, I'm still at a perception that you're collecting 100% of the waste that you generate. How can you manage it without linking it with industries?
Without?
Linking it with industries.
Yeah, that's okay.
Secondly, how will a city understand that what all type of materials he has to collect and manage? For example, just like what madam just pointed out, that we don't even talk about it, that this is the plastic. Diapers are a type of plastics that a city generate. And you look at the waste composition studies, it is increasing tremendously.
No, what you say is right, but the question is the portal. The portal,
Yeah, so the portal
is just information sharing or
Yes.
information collecting.
So
how this information collection helps you in terms of managing at the ground level this thing. That's the
So
issue.
if you are a city, you understand what is going on in your city material recovery facilities.
Okay.
What is happening with the plastic that came in? How much of it is still lying there? How much it is getting treated?
But what kind of data you get in this? Your portal will, whether somebody supplies that data to you on this aspect in your portal. Because the plastic is thrown. Plastic is collected by a very... where you get the data. Whether you get the data, this data are then used with the industry and other thing. That's the issue which he raised.
Sir,
and the person at the ground level doesn't have the kind of information which you say that which is at
Sir,
this level.
but the information at ground level is available. When cities were asked to create material recovery facilities under 2016 rules, they did started creating. We have more than 2,000 MRFs in our country, material recovery facilities. And material recovery facilities are recording data in their manual registers. They are making trades to the traders which exists locally.
Yeah.
But the issues are that many of the materials are not getting traded and thus getting littered or getting disposed at disposal sites. These portals or this information that you collect from a city basically helps a city to manage waste more appropriately.
But the ground level issue is who does it? That is the real issue.
Sir, the material recovery facility operator does it. The MRF operator, ULB,
local body,
yes,
local
the city.
body. And local body, this database is not very well. This portal gets the database, and that database somebody has to do it.
So
Your local body is not equipped to do all this work right now. That's why they are throwing out.
So they are. It is their duty to collect data and pass it on. The point is
which you got from
Sir,
which you got the data for the.
Sir, there are 8 cities currently in pilot. They all are filling data. One city like Port Blair has 18 MRFs.
No, Port Blair is all that.
Kanpur has
that was the
2
pilot
MRFs.
project to do everything.
Sir, my point is that issues are with collection currently. Issues are not with treatment technologies. Issues are on ground where you don't find materials coming in, you don't find appropriate materials for recycling. And this is the reason why most of the materials without getting recycled enter into disposal sites
Yes,
or marine.
that would happen. But how does portal helps into it? That's what the issue comes
Portal,
up.
I'll answer that question. I think one of the issues which I also mentioned during my presentation was the problem with the underdeveloped countries are our waste management systems are very poor. This portal system is possibly a way through which at least the database is collected, and then after that there are companies.
Disposal is not a problem. It's a problem of collection of data.
Collection of data is there, and then only you will know how much you are going to be able to utilize it or reuse it and all that. So that is the whole idea about this portal.
Okay, thank you very much. I think this session is over.
Any more questions? Okay, close. Yeah.
ये portal is all right, but जो ground level पे data जो आते हैं,
Sir, please.
Wait. मैम साउंड ऑन कर रहे हैं.
आवाज है? Okay. We had a very enlightening discussions about the solutions for the plastic waste. It has been, there are very enlightening discussions how we can go about it and how we can make lifestyle changes. I think both the topics are covered. Now we have this occasion to release the book, which is in fact climate resilient and low carbon built environment. So this talks of cities and pollution, air pollution, all kinds of pollution, including plastic pollution. And our author, learned author is here, Mr. A.K. Jain. He may like to say a few words. And I will also request Professor Sharma to release the book, and followed by remarks by Shri A.K. Jain and Miss Priya from Springers, who has come to to say a few words to our participants.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, wait. Ma'am, this side, please.
Okay.
Wait, sir, wait. Ma'am, please, sir. Thank you.
Lot of work has gone into it, and it has a wonderful graphics and lots of information, knowledge about cities. अब आप बोलिए सर.
Priya,
Yeah, he is an
Thank
author
you.
of so many books on urban environment and cities that I have. I think he will explain himself. What
no,
is
I am not going to explain,
genesis.
but I was just telling Priya Vyas,
He's
she's from the Springer, that for an author, the book is like his baby or her baby. And I am grateful she brought this book today, and just at the nick of the time, and she made all the efforts to produce this beautiful book. The thanks to Dr. Malti Goel for asking me to write this book on behalf of the Climate Change Research Institute, and this is part of the technical series which the Springer and CCRI have done together, Green Energy and Technology. So this book contains basically 11 chapters, about 250 pages, and this is basically, the motivation is that in the urban areas, 67 to 70% of the energy is consumed by the cities and the buildings, and 70 to 75% of carbon emissions are coming from the buildings and the cities. So this Sustainable Development Goal 11 has said that we have to focus on the cities and communities so that we can deal with the climate change, and we can have a climate resilience, as well as we can abide by the Paris resolution to limit the temperature to 1.5 degree maximum, which is, I think, very ambitious looking at the trends which is going. And this forward has been written by a very reputed architect, Christopher Benninger. He is an American and settled in India, and he has been working on many projects, including Bhutan High Court, Bhutan Secretariat, and many prestigious projects in India. And he has written a beautiful forward saying that it has crystallized the new possibilities and interesting options, how the cities and the buildings should be developed. So, and anyone can open any page, any chapter, need not to read the whole book, and you will find some good ideas, some practical thing here. And Malti Goel in her forward has said very clearly that this is a rare book where the practice and pedagogy have been merged together. This is basically not a theoretical book, but more of a practical book. And the 7 C's of urban development, which have to be followed, are circulatory metabolism of the cities and the buildings, resilience, the clean air, clean water, clean transport, clean energy, and cultural conservation. So these should be the fundamentals, and we have discussed these things very thoroughly in COP26 and COP27, which was held last year, and COP28 is in the offing, which will be happening in Abu Dhabi, I think this year, end of this year. And And I have benefited from these proceedings and commitment of India and other developing countries, how we should go about the climate resilient, green and low carbon built environment. So thank you very much again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. Thank you, Priyaji, for making this.
You can sign these copies and give it to.
No, this is not to be signed because she is
got
still.
it right
Yeah,
now, but
she is still. Yeah.
You want to say
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, so we will see how to. I am sorry, we are not able to distribute. Yeah.
So,
We will finish it in 5 minutes.
good evening, everyone. My name is Priya Vyas, and I am the publishing editor for this very impressive and comprehensive book that Mr. A.K. Jain has published. So I thank him for all his time and hard work that he put into bringing this book into the light. And this book has been published under the collaboration of Climate Change Research Institute, which is headed by Dr. Malti Goyal, Dr. Sharma and Dr. Gautam Sen. Springer has a publishing collaboration with CCRI for a very long time now, more than 3 years, ma'am, I think. Approximately 3 years. Under the partnership of CCRI and Springer Nature, we have published many impressive and groundbreaking researches which are directly affecting the environment and how we can have solutions to fight those challenges across the world. Also the series which is there, I would like to talk about Springer Nature. Springer Nature is also working actively towards all the SDGs, and this book series, it's called Green Energy and Technology. It's one of the book series where we are bringing a lot of books across the world on this topic, and this is Scopus indexed. So for all the researchers and scientists across there, anything getting published in this book series also gets Scopus indexing, which is a benefit for a researcher or a scientist. I have always requested Dr. Malti Goyal for, through all these kind of capacity building workshops, we always look forward to have many more such volumes where we can have, collaborations with CCRI in terms of the book publications on very interesting and, change-making topics that we need to work upon. This was one of the workshops today, and that's why, I skipped my Environment Day celebration at Springer Nature. I am here because this was more important for me to attend today. And I am really thankful to CCRI, also Dr. Malti Goyal, to always have, something contributing with Springer Nature to the world out there, putting forth the research of the scientists across there. So I welcome you all. If you have any ideas, if you think that you can write and contribute in terms of chapters, volumes, or books, feel free to get in touch with her or directly with me. I'm here outside to discuss the ideas with you all if you have any, and look forward to many more collaborations and very important work coming out of CCRI. Thank you so much. Yes, I have also brought the discount vouchers for this book. We are offering 20% discount right now. I will be putting them right outside at the table. You all can have and use the discount coupons. The discount is valid for 1 month, and the flyer also talks about the book and the author. So thank you so much, everyone. Look forward to work with many more of you.
Thank you so much for making all the effort to do the thing, at the right moment and to make it possible. It was only you could have done. No.
Ma'am, it's a pleasure for me to be here today.
Very committed, very sincere and very committed and very hardworking editor I have met, and that motivates us to do something good for the country and good for the society. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We can have one request to our chairman to kindly give mementos to the speakers who have taken all the trouble.
I start with the
then we have the vote of thanks.
Thank you for the important speaker.